Welcome to Human Design Powered Business. I'm Victoria Gibson, and every week I am sharing how you can harness your human design to unlock more flow, leverage, and opportunity within your business. So let's dive in.
Hey, let me ask you something, and be honest with me because nobody else is listening. Think about every client you've ever worked with. Some of them were brilliant, I'm sure, and you'd work with them forever. You finished a call and you had more energy than when you started, which shouldn't be possible, but there it is. And some of them you'd rather run for the hills than ever do that again. Same business, same offer, same you. So what actually made the difference? Because most people will tell you it's a marketing problem, wrong targeting, wrong avatar. You needed a better ideal client document. You needed to niche harder. You needed to filter better on the application form. And I'm going to tell you today that it was none of those things. It was something much quieter and much more fixable. And it's sitting in your human design, but we'll get to that. Last time we talked about your calling key, your magnetic brand essence, the frequency of you, the largest part of your whole profit code. Because it's the nucleus of your personal brand and the work you're here to do in the world. And I said something at the end of that episode that I want to pick up now. I said the quiet drain of compromise shows up in your message first, but it doesn't stop there. Because compromise doesn't just change what you say, it changes who shows up. So let's talk about that. Here's the situation I see over and over, and I've watched this across hundreds of women's businesses over the last 15 years. So this isn't theory, this is just the pattern. You sit down to work out who you're for. And any coach or advisor worth their weight is going to ask you that. Who do you serve? Who's your person? And it's a good question. It's the right question. But then you go and do the exercise and it comes out weirdly hard. You write down demographics, women 35 to 55, business owners, probably a bit burnt out. And you look at it and think, well, that's not really it, is it? That describes millions of people, and I definitely don't want to work with all of them. So you try again. You think back over the clients you've actually had, and they were all over the place. Different industries, different ages, some of them are dreams, some of them are nightmare, and you can't find the thread. Look, I remember doing an exercise years ago with Dean Jackson. He had these 8 profit activators, and one of them was this idea of writing a letter to the universe, just describing the clients you want to call in, like an order form. Here's what I'd like, please, thank you. And it's a lovely exercise. I still like it. But I remember sitting there thinking, I don't actually know what to write. Because my great clients weren't the same as each other on paper at all. There was no obvious pattern. They just felt amazing to work with. So I couldn't name it. And if you can't name it, you can't put it in your marketing. And if you can't put it in your marketing, you just keep casting the net and hoping. Which brings me to the bit nobody tells you. You can attract anyone with marketing. And I want to be really clear about that because it's my actual expertise and job and career. I've been running ads since 2010. I've been digital marketing, coaching and consulting for over 15 years. And if you want buyers, I can get you buyers. That's a solvable problem. Give me a budget and a decent offer and we'll bring people in. But whether you want to work with those people, completely different question. Whether you're energized or absolutely flattened after their call, different question again. And how much drama arrives with them? The endless hand-holding, the scope creep, the one in your group program who quietly drains the energy out of the whole room. That's a different question too. Marketing can bring you volume, but it can't always bring you resonance. And most of us have been trying to solve a resonance problem with volume tactics. Post more, advertise harder, nurture longer, send another 7 emails, and you're exhausted and the clients are still a mixed bag and you think you must be doing the marketing wrong. But you're not doing the marketing wrong. You're broadcasting something slightly off and the wrong people are tuning in. Now, here's the image that made this really click for me, and I want you to sit with it because it explains almost everything about why this happens. It's like a radio. You know when you're driving and you've got the station almost right, you can hear the song, you know what it is. You could sing along if you had to. And who doesn't love a bit of that? But it's a bit staticky. There's a hiss underneath it. And you're doing that thing where you nudge the dial a fraction one way, a fraction the other. I know this is a bit old-fashioned, but stay with me. You're trying to find that exact number where it goes clean. And that's most people's messaging. It's not wrong. It's not broken. You're not off the air. You're just not quite on the number. And here's the cost of that static. The people who are actually scanning for your station drive right past it because what they hear isn't a song. It's noise with a song somewhere inside it. And the truth is static doesn't sell. And the people who do stop for a staticky signal, they're the ones who aren't fussy. They'll take approximately what they wanted. They'll take the vaguely right person. And then you get on a call with them and there's this small mismatch that never quite goes away. And you might spend the whole time working twice as hard to bridge a gap that shouldn't have been there. That's not a bad client. That's a tuning problem. So where does a static come from? Compromise every single time. Because think about what you've actually been doing when you write your marketing. You've been asking, what do they want to hear? What's converting right now? What did she say in her launch that worked? What's the pain point I'm supposed to be leading with? All of which is tuning your station to somebody else's frequency. And a lot of us, and I've done this, so I'm not throwing stones, a lot of us pick our people based on who'll pay or who's popular or hungry right now, which sounds so sensible and commercial, and it is. And it will absolutely bring you revenue. But it means you've skipped the most powerful thing you've got. You've gone straight to them and completely overlooked what you're putting out, what you're broadcasting, what you actually care about and sharing your value. And that mismatch is exactly where the static lives. So let's talk about the fix, because there is one, and it's the second of your 6 cash flow keys. And it's your client key. Now, your client key is not your client avatar. It's not demographics. It's not a persona document with a stock photo and a name like Marketing Mary. Your client key reveals the values and the ideals that are innately in you, the ones you're naturally called to share, and how you're designed to express them out into the world. And then, because of that, it shows you who recognizes them and who resonates with them. That's the whole mechanism. It starts with you, not with them. Because here's what most marketing gets backwards. Most marketing says, go and find a hungry audience and feed them. Find the people already looking for what you sell. Get in front of them. Done. And that's not wrong exactly, but it's such a small version of what's available to you. Because you have the ability through your energy, through your human design, through what you actually stand for, to make people hungry for what you have, to create the demand rather than chase it. That's a completely different business. That's the difference between competing for people who are already shopping and having people arrive already convinced. And that's what happens when your client key is switched on. Client attraction stops being about convincing and starts being about recognition. And I'll say that again because it's the whole episode in one line. Attraction stops being about convincing and starts being about recognition. You know the feeling. You meet someone and within about 90 seconds, there's this, yes, they get me. We're on the same page. You're not selling. You're not explaining yourself. There's no gap to bridge or convincing to be had. It's just recognition. That's what you want with clients. And it's not an accident when it happens. It's alignment. Let me give you a real example. I've got a client, Linda, who spent her whole career in one particular industry and then retired out of it. And she built a business serving women from that same industry. Now, on paper, plenty of people could serve those women. There are consultants and coaches who could learn that market, study it, build the offer, sure. But here's her conversion lever, and it's enormous. Those women know she's lived it. She's been where they are. She's not observing their world from the outside with a nicely researched pitch. She's been inside it. And more than that, she creates a community that suits her, this association of like-minded women where they're around others who understand what they're living through. That recognition, I've been there, I understand what you're carrying, and here are others like you, that does more for her sales than any tactic I could ever hand her. That's the thing she can pull again and again that nobody can copy. That's her client key doing exactly what it's built to do. The connection, the shared lived experience, the heart of it, what she cares about, what she's passionate about, and how she's wired to share that without even speaking. It's not a strategy she bolted on. It's what she values, expressed out loud, and the right women recognizing it. And here's the useful bit for you. Even if Linda decided tomorrow to serve a completely different market, she'd still be able to pull that same lever because the value underneath, bringing people together, community, shared understanding, that travels, that's hers. Which is why knowing your client key makes pivoting so much less terrifying. You're not starting over, you're carrying the same magnet into a different room. So where does this come from in your human design? Well, the client key, which is one of the 6 cash flow keys, comes from your conscious Venus placement. And look, I don't teach the gates and the lines in this series because I want you to be able to use this, not study it. I've done the translating, so you don't have to learn a whole system to run your business better, but that's where it's drawn from. So you know it's not something I just made up last week. It's in your human design and it's in your energy. And here's something genuinely uncanny that I noticed when I went looking. I pulled up all my favorite clients, the ones who I've absolutely loved working with that have come back year after year or even decades later, the ones who are just an absolute daydream to work with, the ones where work feels like a connection rather than a job. They nearly all have the same client key. Not the same human design type, not the same profile, different designs entirely, but same client key. And when I saw that, I actually laughed because I'd spent years trying to describe my perfect client with words like ambitious and success-minded and all these fluffy words that could apply to anyone. And the actual answer was one key from their profit code, showing the values we share. That's your soul line, by the way. That's the phrase I use for it. The invisible recognition and resonance that pulls people and profits towards you when you're transmitting your inner truth, not getting veered off by other experts and other formulas and by what the clients want. And it's why I keep saying you don't really need a niche. You need to understand your soul line. A niche is a box you climb into and hope the right people find you in there. Your soul line is a frequency you transmit and the right people recognize it from wherever they are. Now, you don't have to have your human design life chart in front of you to start noticing this today. So here's what I'd like you to do this week, and it costs absolutely nothing. Think about your favorite clients, the ones who left you with more energy than you started with. Then go past the obvious, because most of us stop at they were women, they were working mothers, or they were mums, they were in their 40s, which is useful information, but it's not the thing. Go to what they valued and where that met what you valued and what value you were showing up with. It's what they said or how you saw them feel when they bought or when they showed up to your first call or your first meeting or the first email they sent. Was it that you saw something in them that nobody else had named? Was it that you'd been where they were? Was it that it was really clear what you valued and what those shared values were? Was it that you made them feel like part of something instead of alone with it? Whatever the thread is, that's the edge of your client key. You're feeling for it. You're nudging the dial. And notice what happens when it comes in. 3 things in my experience. First, they find you instead of you chasing them. And I mean this literally. I've had people land in my messages saying, I don't know how I found you, but I feel like you're speaking directly to me. One of my clients had someone come through a Facebook ad, a total stranger, no relationship, no nurture, and say, my perfect client just showed up from an ad because the words were tuned to her actual frequency. She was clear about what she was broadcasting. Second, they're ready to invest because you're not doing a 12-week convincing campaign. When somebody recognizes their match, they move fast and they already know. You're not overcoming objections. You're just confirming what they've felt. And third, and this is the one nobody prices in, the work gets easier. You're not translating. You're not educating them into caring about the thing you care about. You're not spending the first 3 sessions bridging a gap. They amplify your energy instead of draining it. That's the twin win. It's better for them and better for you at the same time, which is the only kind of business worth building. So let's bring this into land. Your calling key is what you're here to give. Your essence, your brand, the work. Your client key is who recognizes it and what you share with them. And the two of them together are what turn a business from pushing a boulder uphill into something that finally moves with the current instead of against it. And your client key becomes the filter for everything that follows. Once you know who you're actually here for and what you share, that shapes how you communicate, which shapes what you build, which shapes how you show up. They're all connected. And that's why the order matters, and that's why this one comes second. Now, here's the thing I can't do from here. I can tell you what a client key is. I can tell you Linda's runs on connection and lived experience. I can tell you my favorite clients all share mine, but I can't tell you yours right now. It's specific to your design, and no amount of guessing gets you there. Your profit code blueprint will, though. You pop in your birth details and you get back a personalized human design reading over 40 pages, depending on your design, that decodes all 6 of your cash flow keys, your calling key, your client key, all of them from your actual human design. The link's in the notes. And when it lands, don't skim it. Read the client key section properly. cup of tea, phone face down, no distractions. Then ask yourself the question I'd ask you if you were sitting right opposite me. Who have I been trying to convince when I could have been recognized instead? Because that's the shift. That's the whole point. Next time, we're on to the third key, your communication key, which is how you take everything we just talked about and actually say it in the way you're designed to say it so it lands. Because knowing who you're for and still not being able to find the words for it is its own kind of static. I'll see you there. Thanks for joining me on this episode. If you want to dive deeper and get the practical path to leverage your human design and turn energy blocks into business breakthroughs, then you're going to want to see my latest class. Make sure you head to victoriagibson.com and click on the Watch the Class tab, and you can uncover more about what is encoded within your energetic blueprint and how you can harness it for unlimited success and to step into your true potential. I cannot wait to see you over there.